What's it like now in Beijing from the seat of an American, from the eyes of an American who knows China well? What's it been like being here? And what would you tell Americans back home about the China you see here this week?
Well, in terms of activity, I think that Beijing is back. That is, last October, I was here for the first time since COVID hit, and I had been gone for 4 years. So I'd read a lot about what was going on in the PRC, but I came back and I felt the traffic jams are there, people on the street, people are active, a lot of things going on. So that struck me that China is clearly very active. The economy, at least in Beijing, is working. People are active, that they've put COVID behind them. So Americans and others should not be afraid of what China looks like today, that the COVID era is over.
But what about international visitors? When you're in the hotel, at least where I'm staying, it seems a little light on foreign visitors. When you're at the airport, I notice the international visitors because there aren't that many of them. So China talks about being open for business and welcoming international investment, foreign investment, but there's obviously a disconnect somewhere here between what we're understanding and what we're seeing.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, one other measure is the number of flights. I mean, it's much harder and more expensive to get to China from the United States, for example. But if I want to come, to China, suddenly the alternatives that I have are less. The cost is higher. And that's obviously another factor. And we've had the U.S. and Chinese governments arguing over this. But I think that really represents one of the problems. It's one thing that probably helps diminish the number of foreign visitors, but it also reflects the fact that the number of foreign visitors are down. And I think that's right, that I think we see less students coming both ways. We see less people wanting to make investments. We see greater concern of some people in the business community in terms of their activities in China. And tourism, while that is something that the Beijing has been pushing very hard, is something that has taken a little while to pick up from the COVID years. And I suspect, given some of the politics involved, that at least some Americans are probably a little less likely to want to come to China. They've read stories, they've seen cases reported in the news. They're not going to investigate these real close. They're going to look and say, well, maybe I can go somewhere else. Maybe I should go to Japan. Maybe I should go to Europe. Maybe I should go to something else. So I think you're right, that China is not quite the same destination that it was 4 years ago. And that's unfortunate. I want to see people engage China. I want China to engage people from around the world. And I think we are losing that at this stage.